Riding Tiger with Arijit.
Hi everyone, welcome once again to Riding Tiger with Arijit. And as you know, I always bring people who are movers and shakers and who have been riding the tiger. The tiger is practically your life. So the concept is pretty simple. When you start your life as a entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, you actually adopt a small cub. That cub initially is looking for milk to feed with. When it is growing big, you have a tendency that you will be riding on the top of it. Now it's looking for raw meat, and that meat is money. So your journey is pretty risky. If you don't feed it properly, it have a tendency of attacking you back. So as an entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur, you have to feed it and you have to feed it properly. If it is becoming a little bit of fatty, it's going to be slow. So your business will run really, really slow. So it's a science and art how you want to feed your tiger so that you can ride it in a very, very smooth way. And today I have got Priya Pinto. Priya is an amazing woman doing massive work for the last 25 plus years in her career, even though she is younger than me. But amazing experience. Priya, a quick question. You have been working in various different industries, especially into Web3 space. And you have been a technologist, you have been a salesperson, you have been a go-getter. Uh, Let us understand, let the audience understand how did exactly it started, how you started your life, what is the background?
Thank you for inviting me for this Riding Tigers podcast, Arijit. And well, you started at the introduction with a very, very powerful statement that life is the tiger we're riding, and the way we feed it is how it determines where we reach. I mean, that was really, really inspiring for me. But yes, to begin with, my journey started after my dad expired. This was a turning point in my life, like any other child back in the 90s. We only knew, our life, our resources were very limited. Either we had to go for a job, do a business, or get married and have kids. So that is, I was supposed to have kids and then do based on whatever opportunities were supposed to be coming up in life. But then my dad expired when I was 18 and my life completely changed. And this is something that I had not planned, ever since my childhood was. And I was like a happy-go-lucky, very adventurous, excellent in sports, a gold medalist in state level. And whatever I wanted to achieve, I did achieve. But there is one thing that I never put my mind or thought into was, what is my life going to be? What is it I want to become? What is my career aspects? Nothing. I never knew that. So after my dad expired, my college or Karnataka Polytechnic, the place where I studied, which I'm still thankful for today, that gave me that base where I was able, after my dad expired, I started working and getting involved with the institution. And that's when I realized that there is nothing impossible for me. And every time I did something new, I came up to be successful, though I had no clue what it was. So this was the first foundation. And then it was at 19, I took my diary, sitting and waiting for my mom, who was taking over my dad's business, who was a housewife again, right? And I come from a business background. So I've seen my dad, who was just a 10th pass, who built a business worth crores in the 80s and the 90s. So this is again something that I got in my genes. So I wrote 20 things, and in that one of that was, in 2 years, I'll become a manager. How? I don't know. I was a lab assistant. But after 1 year, I went to Bangalore. I started working for into sales and marketing. Now, I'm from a technical background, engineering background. In 2 years, I did become a manager for a glass manufacturing factory. And I was like, wow, I can do it. That's where my journey started. And then rest is history. And whatever I put my mind and heart into, even though it is the place that I have never ventured into, I have managed to do something and also turn out to be successful. I've had failures, which is normal, but that hasn't pulled me down. And I'm still here.
Amazing, amazing. Um, And I can see that you have been a Ayurveda therapist for around 2 years, and that is probably in Karnataka. You have done
Yes.
service delivery in IBM as a, I think, for 11 years, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a huge experience, Priya. And I completely understand and echo the point that how a business person can start their venture, build it to $1 million business. Some of them, they have limited number of traditional certifications, I would say. There is a fine line between certification and skills. So if I look at today's world, like 2025, and if I look at a woman like you, who have worked in various different industries, there is a tendency of people, they don't understand how a person can work in various industries, in different roles. And at the same time, some people are confused about educational qualification and skill development. What's your thought on these two aspects? Being a woman, being into, coming from a business family, being into business, being into different industries. What's your thought process?
For me, the way I started the entire journey, the first thing that when I started my first job in Bangalore, the first thing that I decided that I'm going to do is learn for the first 13 years. So the base of the foundation was always continuous learning. So for me, since I was a learner, continuous learner, and I always thought first 3 months dedicate into learning, understanding everything ground up. And then after 3 months, start developing. So since I've always kept this as the foundation and as the base, for me, moving from different fields, being a generalist, and again, in a year or two, being an expert in that same field hasn't been difficult, be it service delivery. So to come back a bit, I was very much interested in computers, and I fell in love with computers in the final year of my education, and I wanted to work for IBM. So I thought IBM was all about servers, computers. Then when I joined IBM, I came to know, oh, okay, life is different here. It is not exactly, because I joined the BPO because, I came from Bangalore, and, it was the first time the tech space was emerging in India. So from there, I moved into finance and accounting. And then from there, I again saw that I had a knowledge gap. I joined project management, IT infrastructure service delivery, joined as an administrator. I straight away told my service delivery manager when he gave me a junior project manager role, I said, I want to become a project admin. I want to learn from scratch. In a ways, for example, if I want to become a doctor, I wanted to start as a compounder, not straight away as a doctor, in other words, right? So that's where he said, okay, fine, gave me an opportunity. 8 months, I learned ground level up, started doing admin tasks. And when in 8 months, when I became a bill factory manager, that is a technical project manager, I was straight away promoted to the complex project manager role. And then, I grew from there. Until today, though, it's been 10 years since I quit IBM, I still remember everything I learned, everything I performed. Though the world has gone to another level, I still haven't forgotten my basics. That's the first part. And you were talking to me about my Ayurveda. So I actually wanted to become a doctor. So even when I was in 8th, 9th, 10th, I would go to the doctor's clinic and take his thick books and start reading, understand medicines, treatments. And every time I would be on medical journals. So for me, I thought to become a doctor, only biology was enough. It is only after I finished my 10th, I realized that you need physics and chemistry also. Maths, I was good, so I wouldn't have to worry. So it was a heartbreak. So, I moved into engineering. So when I joined diploma, in fact, I realized that physics and chemistry again is a base. But then, I had to survive. So it was a survival of the fittest game, and I did survive. So after I quit IBM, I had that desire to be a doctor, joined Ayurveda, learned ground level up, learned to make the therapies, treatments, and also treated over, I can say every Saturday we used to treat around 1,000 people. And I've been very successful in also formulating medications, Ayurveda medications. And later, after I left Ayurveda, I was still able to treat people. And even today, when medicines give up on me, I'm resistant to medicine, allopathy medicine. I'm still surviving and getting better by the day, getting younger by the day, because of the remedies that I've learned to implement on myself.
Great, great. Uh, it's a beautiful experience. Just a quick understanding when you talk about probably upskilling, uplifting, and then eventually you had a inclinedness towards medicines, and probably rather, I would say, healing to people. Uh, let's talk about something which is very, very close to human being and nature. If we look at today's wheat, if we look at today's rice, which is being produced in India, or even the natural vegetables, nothing is natural nowadays.
Yes.
So initially, we started with producing natural food. In between, we said, no, no, this is not good. Size is not great. So let us push a little bit of more pesticides and more XYZ, whatever, fanana hormones, and crops will give us more sizable thing, I would say. Those are not food. But then you keep feeding the people, and then eventually, for last 2 to 3 years, people started realizing what they eat is just they consume. It is not for neither for their neuron nor for their muscles. Forget about the liver part. What's your thought on this? And if we look at today's generation, girls and boys aged about 8 to 9 years, they are probably not eating food. They are probably eating something which is chewable. And that's the main cause. They have agony, they have disorder, they can't live the life that we used to live. So I'm from 80s. I'm sure that you're probably 3 years younger than me. So you're from 80s as well. So what's your thought on this and how you feel that we should cope up with this? I'm not going to ask you a lot many questions on tech. Rather, we'll talk about more on life.
Okay. So when I was in Ayurveda, this was one of my points, right? I was in Bangalore for 18 years, and everything we already know. The greens that are being sold in Bangalore are usually cleaned in dirty water by the street vendors, and fruits and vegetables are available at our doorstep. So when I saw these things, these were disturbing to me, and that's the reason why I decided to leave Bangalore. I come back to Bangalore and start organic farming. I was also working with this Ayurveda hospital. So what we did was we started going to the people who had farmlands. We started farming rice, lentils, vegetables. We started plowing the field in the traditional way. We started teaching people how to grow natural food. For the 2 years that I was in Ayurveda, my health was completely screwed up, right? Back in the IBM days, because we used to work for 18 hours odd. The food was all, like you already said, what the youth eat is what something that even we were eating 18 years ago. When we work in the corporates, you don't get natural food there. So I decided that I wanted to change these things starting from my city and then go to a state level. And we did do this at Karnataka level back in the 16, 17, 18, right? So over here, what we did is we started getting organic seeds. We started planting them in the traditional way, the way our ancestors were growing. We started giving it to the community of 1,000 people who are coming. Whoever ate without medications, just with food, we were able to heal their ailments, including mine. I'm a diabetic for the last 25 years. I had a medicine reaction. After I won the gold medal, I had a surgery and then that antibiotic. So even if I drink a glass of tea with sugar, my sugar immediately shoots to 600. So when I started working in Ayurveda, when I started eating this Ayurvedic food, organic food that we produce, my sugars were normal. My sugars started coming down. And with the natural remedies, I used to wear glasses, right? I used to have minus 2.0 was my power. I couldn't see a person who was 1 meter away. And whenever I didn't wear glasses, I had to send an email in IBM saying, guys, I'm not wearing my glasses. If I don't recognize me, come close to me and talk to me. I can't see anybody. So that was my state. And today I am without glasses with the natural remedies that we actually administer to people. And this is actually tried and tested. If we go back to the organic, now when I say organic, I don't say the organic that we get in the farms, because if in the soil, if you have the minerals, if you have the basic nutrients missing, even if it is your hydroponic or your organically grown food, it is not giving you anything. You're
Exactly.
just consuming.
No, please
So
continue.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is another research that I was studying. Earlier, there were paints, we were using limestone for our walls. We were using lead-based paints. Now, recently, I got to know the lead-based paints were actually responsible for shielding our homes, shielding us from radiation, from the harmful rays that were coming, and our house would be actually having the natural light in it. Right now, we are using these normal paints that we are using, where, and even from one room to the other, the Wi-Fi is just traveling even through the wall. So we are not safe in our own houses. Now, if we go back to the traditional methods that our ancestors followed, we still have a chance to reverse our entire condition or whatever health that we have, and we can get back to normal. We just have to go back to the roots.
So the basic thing, Priya, is if we look at today's so-called organic food production units, unfortunately, many of them don't have the soil which can actually hold those nutrients. You are completely right. So this is one of my, you can say, love. I traveled almost half of India trying to find out whether we can have natural land where we can grow food natural. I found only in Northeast and in Himachal areas, you can probably do that. In some part of southern part of India, it's very, very, very interior. There probably you can get some lands where we can probably produce food which is natural. Now, if I look at Web3 as a model, blockchain as a platform, and then if if I look at these aspects, these subject line, producing natural food and then connect that with technology, maybe tokenizing it, maybe not tokenizing it, rather use some IoT device and then make it happen utilizing the Web3 and AI so that you can build it properly. Can you please enlighten our audience if this is possible? If yes, then what is the huge future ahead? Connecting nature with tech and then definitely merging up with each other so that we can have better understanding, better food, and much more better production for humanity. Please.
Okay. So, right, this is a very interesting question, right? And you put me on the spot right now. Well, first of all, we'll have to develop a manure that is rich in minerals and nutrients. And in the places like Northeast that you said, and the remote areas or tribal areas, the land is not still infested with, pesticides, or they haven't deteriorated the land by just producing those vegetables that eat the nutrients from the soil. For example, ginger. There are some vegetables that take off everything and keep the land barren, in other words, right? So over here, one method that I see is preparing the soil, or composing the soil with all these nutrients first in places that are not ready with these nutrients. Second, growing garlic and turmeric. It heals the land automatically, is what research says. So grow those to begin with, so you can make the land fertile. And then IoT devices. We put the IoT sensors into the soil that will give us the parameters or nutrients that are in the soil. Based on that, we can feed the soil. Now, will the people implement this? This is something that has to be shared. It is an awareness session, right? And then, once they accept, because I see already when I speak to my friends right now, everybody's having IoTs and they're having sensors, they're having cameras, everything for the land, and they're automating agriculture, be it 100 acres, 10 acres. So this is possible. People are already doing it. And then AI, definitely, we just have the algorithms or LLMs programmed in a way so that we can get the, we can have alerts, or we can get predictions, what's going to be next, what's happening. Or sometimes it so happens that when there is rain, there is airborne infections or airborne diseases that come to these organic produce. Because I've done organic farming, and no matter how much you do organic farming, you're going to have fungus, black fungus, or some fungus that is getting infested, right? Because of the neighboring areas who are using pesticides, or it just travels through rain or through air. So this is something that we will have to deal with, and this is an area where we will have to start creating those insecticides that will naturally kill these and increase the immunity of the soil and the plant. The way I see it is using copper and silver in the plantations, and then automatically it gets the the energy from the universe, and then puts it to the soil, and the plants are automatically becoming strong. They can fight themselves. It's just like we eating organic and getting immune, and we can fight disease ourselves. Same thing we can do with the plants and soil. And then blockchain, you're the expert there, putting this on the chain and tracking and traceability right from the soil's health, the health of the plant, and where the supply chain is moving to the consumer, and to add as an incentive carbon credits is going to be a good addition to this technology.
True.
And the nature.
True. Not only turmeric and garlic, actually, if you give a little bit of aloe vera within the land before you do the plantation, it actually heals it. And if you use AI, it can calculate your I would say health of your soil, and probably can predict how much nutrients you need, how much time you need, what kind of fertilization techniques you should use. So people who are using it, they are, of course, making maybe one step ahead than others. So let me come back to something else. If I look at you as a woman, and if I look at probably somebody else, there's a saying in the corporate world that women don't get the equal opportunity like men. What's your thought on this?
So I speak to a lot of women. I guide them to get their resumes done. I prepare them for their interviews. I'm going to take a step back and give you a case study. Everybody has just one thing to say. I took a break for my child. I took a break after my marriage. I have this, that, I don't know, can I do it? So I told them, even if you were with a child, even if you were pregnant, or even if you're doing something, compared to a man, you acquired so many new skills from nowhere that all of a sudden you were put on the spot, and all of a sudden you have a child growing, and today you have to take care, and then you're working also. You're already upskilled. Use these skills, whatever that you're doing, change management, risk management, supply chain management, and everything, all the project management principles, you're applying it here. All the business intelligence, emotional intelligence, you're applying here. Use that on your resume. Why won't you get a position that you need? Why won't you go ahead of other men? It is possible, because the way we fight, the way we do, I can give you an example of Rani Jhansi. She was just carrying a pot of water, and she killed the enemy soldiers, and she saved, Jhansi. It's just a small example. If she can do it, why can't we? For me, I never had, I always went to the opportunities. I went and I worked myself up. Yes, I had times when I was low. I felt I was incapable. I felt I wasn't ready. But then I realized that is the way I am conditioning myself. But that's not the truth. When I go back and see, I've known, since I'm a person, I'm a learner, and if I'm missing a skill, I will work on upskilling it. For example, if I'm lacking a skill in technology, I will go see a training, I will go look into a podcast, I will do research and I will upskill myself because blockchain was not known to me. I knew nothing about blockchain. But I learned about blockchain. I understood, okay, this is where the world is heading. And 4 years ago, I started getting into the blockchain technology with no background, right? I was completely in a different world. And here I am, implementing blockchain-based workflows for manufacturing sector and successfully done that and generating revenue. So for me, it is all in the mind. You want to do it, you can do it. It's just that take your step, see what is it you're missing, bridge the gap, and start working. Along the way, you will figure out, just start the journey.
Brilliant. Excellent confidence and brilliant thought process. Okay, so when we talk about blockchain, I have a very, very small experience working in the blockchain world. So that very term came in front of me in 2016 when I hopped into the blockchain world. So my background, if I look at data science or data analytics or maybe database, so I started coding in SQL, structured query language, worked with Oracle database, worked with MySQL database, worked with Microsoft One. And then eventually I was watching slowly that how industry is changing and evolving. While I run India's one of the first game development company, this particular database segment took me through a long journey, whether that is artificial intelligence, whether that is IoT devices, whether that is interior decoration, VR, AR, XR. So when I look at the tech world at the moment, it became so fast that in today's technologists, if they don't adopt it properly on time and they don't upgrade and upskill themselves, it became a little bit of challenging for them. And some people have a mindset that you are over 40, then your adaptability becomes different. Sometimes there is an AI HR tool who is trying to understand you and your CV. Unfortunately, 90% cases, that tool don't understand a human being as another human being should understand them. What's your thought on this?
So I've had this, when I came back to the tech world, I was really, really scared, the way I started navigating, talking to people. And I felt, in 10 years, the world has changed. Not 10 years, I believe it was 8 years back then. And I was like, what will I do? And I was already 40 by then. So I was like, okay, everybody I'm talking to is 19, 20, 21, 22. They are founders of the companies. And I'm like, okay, now I have to fit somewhere. I have to get my foot in, right? First of all, there was this one thing that I understood when I was talking to people in tech. They did not understand how to talk to lay people. They did not know how to talk to businesses. They did not know how to communicate with common person. I took that as an entry point. And then I started learning from there. So every time I move from place to place, the only place that the way I get in is I understand where do I fit in, where's the gap? Where is it that I will add value and I can take them to the next step? So I identified the gap, and that to the gap where I can perform. Yes, I've made mistakes at times where I have made wrong decisions and I thought, okay, I probably can do it. And, because I'm a miracle worker, kind of a mindset sometimes we get in, right? When you become overconfident, I failed. But then whenever I found this right fit, that puzzle, I've been able to move forward. I've had places where I usually see the young crowd, people who are excellent in tech. But then there is one more thing that I understood is what I see, the way I see, and the background that I come from, and the what do you call that as the whole picture that I have. They're missing that small part, and I'm able to give them that extra leverage. They can see data, they can see parameters. I can see beyond that based on my learnings and continuously whatever that I've done in the last 25 years. So that's where I fit.
Good observation. Let me give you a little bit of my perspective. If I look at um, maybe a generation gap, I'm not sure. If I look at some of the youth, they are so inclined of making money fast. Making money is good. That's completely fine. Some people, they are more inclined towards, okay, let's go for a valuation model and then raise capital from some investors and relax and chill and sell out my company. In both of these cases, what I have seen so far, they lack the basic thing which you rightly pointed out, the communication skill. Whom to talk, and how to approach. This is the basic thing that people need to understand. I have seen some young kids talking to some senior guys. This is mainly happening in probably in the gaming field. I'm so sorry about this. They talk so rough manner. Mainly some of the people who wants to talk to a very senior most person coming from the game development field. Young guys are treating them like probably like hippies, I would say, you know. So the gap happens. The senior guy wants to talk in their own way, I would say, which is more corporate. And the young guy tries to convey the message in their own Gen Z style. Now, this Gen Z style sometimes doesn't match with the corporate. It starts with the clash. And that clash sometimes becomes so nasty that people lose their job. Have you ever experienced such kind of situation? If yes, how do you suggest people to tackle this?
In the last 10 years that I've been in the working with the startup industry as a consultant, as an advisor, being a part of their journey, there's one thing that I tell them. See, they think that, raising funds, they take the funds from the investor. Everybody's focused on raising funds. They have an idea, they do an MVP, and then they want to raise funds, right? But then what I believe, and I don't appreciate Swiggy, Zomato, and other corporations that are there today, where they are always on the cash burn mode, or they are showing losses and people are still investing in them and they are giving, I mean, they're talking good about them and giving them as an example. This is where our youth are following. But otherwise, they should rather shift to the profit making method, building technology or building products that are helping. So when you're on the cash burn method, you want to just raise an investment, you want to increase your valuation, sell, and then move, start another startup. Again, you will do that in the same way. But in the end of the day, who is profiting? Just you. And there have been cases where people have raised funds worth 100 crores. People are not paid salaries. Why? So this happens quite often in the startup industry. And sad to say, there are people from IIMs and these big leagues also in this. But I think this started back I think after 2010 onwards, it started taking that shape. But I think this is one mindset that they need to change. Rather than going uh, in the cash burn model, they should go in a lean model, start building, start generating revenue, build confidence, build resilience, venture into the market. If this market is not very important, studying the market realities. Right now, when I'm sitting here, I see the market changing. I want to venture into the African market. I see the reality is different there. Indian market, the reality is different. American market, I get shocked every other week, right? So, finding that right market where we can pitch in, work, start generating revenue, and also do profits. This is something that we have to be very vigilant about. And this is just the way we see the market, study the market, and use our intuition and start doing our calculations. This is what will take us there. This is something nobody teaches. There are so many podcasts. Everybody said, become a millionaire, billionaire. यार इतना आसान नहीं होता, उससे पहले चप्पल घिसनी पड़ती है.
Exactly. इतना आसान नहीं होता है. और जितना मुझे आता है ना, like if I look at my VC journey, I started my angel investment journey in 2008. If I look at my VC journey, We run a VC fund based out of US. That's in Houston. I am partnered with multiple VCs across the world, and that number is not that small. It probably crossed 70 plus in today's time. Somehow, there is a big gap in Indian startup mindset. We're not producing any product. I'm so sorry about this. We are only focusing on service. We are even failing on that because we are raising and raising, and after raising, end of the day, we declare like Byju's that I can't run, let's stop. But they raised a couple of $1 million. So money is totally gone. So if we look at them as maybe the idol of entrepreneurship, I think we are doing something seriously wrong. That's not entrepreneurship. I know several startups from India who are doing great work. Some of them raised capital, some of them didn't raise capital. That is fine. They raised capital from banks. Sometimes they didn't even raise capital from bank. The best money-making process for them is from their clients. I think that's one of the best way you can nurture your business and ride your tiger. Well, Priya, I think I will be more than happy to call you in some other sessions as well, taking classes for some of those young startups. We run a private incubator called Entrepreneur Phase. We have our own business accelerator and investment advisory called Co-Innovate Ventures. I'll be more than happy to have you there as a mentor. Sometimes it is pro bono, sometimes it is paid. We'll be happy to offer all the opportunities to you. To be very honest, today, I know you as a person, and I'm really blessed that I know you as a person, not only as probably a lady who is coming from corporate and doing massive work. You have an excellent heart. A quick question to you. Let's try to make it very simple and short within 30 seconds. Imagine that you are in a park and the park is beautiful. You have only one bench and you have opportunity to sit with only one person in that bench, right? Who would you like to sit and what kind of conversation you want to do?
Good question. I would invite the universe to sit with me, because when I'm with the universe, when I'm with God, I call the universe as God, I have the entire possibilities to work on. I am not bound by time. I'm not bound by resources. I'm not bound by money. And there is a lot that I can do and achieve with this one person next to me. And I don't have any limitations.
Brilliant.
And this is one pair where everybody can benefit.
Super. So Priya, see you soon in life, see you soon in the universe, and let us keep in touch and do good for the humanity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arijit. Thanks for your time.